So what does the Yankees pitching situation look like today? Now the pitchers and catchers are reporting in less than a day. The Yankees have made some improvements this offseason. They're bringing in Corey Kluber and bringing in Jameson Taillon, and also bringing in Darren O'Day. And they're close to an agreement with left-handed reliever Justin Wilson as well. So they've added depth to the rotation. They've added some depth to the bullpen. Even though they've lost a couple of relievers, particularly Tommy Conley, who's now with the Dodgers. Even though he's going to miss the 2021 season from recovering from Tommy John, they still had to make some moves. Now, with that said, let's go over what the Yankees' pitching rotation looks like right now, and then the bullpen to see how if there's anything else that you think they should do. I think there's something they should do, but let's go over it. So the rotation at the 1, you've got obviously their ace Gerrit Cole. At the 2, I'm seeing Corey Kluber at the 2. I'm seeing Jordan Montgomery at the 3, who's going to be the only lefty in there. I'm also seeing Jameson Taillon at the 4. And then I'm seeing anyone from Domingo Germán to Deivi Garcia to potentially Clark Schmidt at the 5, unless they bring in another starter, which I think is a good idea if they can manage to finance. Now, we don't know what Justin Wilson's contract is yet. He's a reliable lefty reliever, so he's going to add some good veteran strength and depth to that bullpen. And he's had success in New York, both teams, Mets and Yankees. He's a veteran. He's a reliable reliever. So he'll be a really, really good pickup for the Yankees if they can finalize this deal. But it's going to cost. The Yankees have a little bit under $10 million left, and he's probably going to cost almost half of it, or maybe more. I mean, we just don't know right now. That will also probably preclude them from bringing in Brett Gardner. But at this point, with the moves that they've made on that end, I mean, it's acquiring Greg Allen and signing Jay Bruce yesterday, and then still having Esteban Florial. Essentially, as much as we love Brett Gardner, they don't need him now, unfortunately. So that's the other reality too. So back to pitching though. That's generally what the starting rotation looks like. Now in terms of the bullpen, we've got Zach Britton, newly signed Darren O'Day. Eventually it'll be Justin Wilson if this whole thing is done. Roldis Chapman. Who else do we have? Chad Green, Johnny Lasagna, Jonathan Loaizaga, and Luis Sessa. That's who I think who's going to be on the 26-man roster. Now keep in mind, when Justin Wilson comes in, if it happens, they're going to have to make a move and free somebody up from the 40-man roster. So they will offset some type of salary, but it's not going to be as significant as a Justin Wilson. But even if it's $1 million, it's still $1 million back into the coffers, which might enable them to bring in somebody who can throw long relief or spot start or just be somewhat of a starter, because I think it's a good idea this year for the Yankees to maybe have a 6-man rotation or take advantage of those guys who can throw multiple innings. There were too many situations over the last couple of years where a starter would either bomb, throw 2 innings, give up 7 runs or whatever, and they had to use 5 or 6 relievers during the game. And where it hurt them the most is that happened in game 1 of a doubleheader. Excuse me. And then they wiped out those relievers in game 1, and they had to kind of mix and patch things together in game 2. And then afterward, they're making corresponding moves, bringing guys down, bringing guys up. And you start to go through guys' team options too, player options. So that kind of throws a bit of a wrench into it too. So it all boils down to needing reliable starters and depth from the starters, because if those starters go down, you need somebody who can come in and step in and take their place. Now, Deivi Garcia had some experience last year, had a 6-game sample, and I liked his poise in command, even though he had some ups and downs. And I think he'll be essentially be a reliable number 3 or number 4 if he stays up, particularly with the Yankees. And I hope he does. I hope he stays with them until all of his options are up, until he hits free agency. Jameson Taillon and Corey Kluber, we don't know yet. They've had health issues, and Taillon's made some mechanical adjustments, as did Clark Schmidt. So hopefully they'll be able to stay a little bit more healthy this year. But that said, there's no guarantee. Kluber's coming off of years, a year or 2 of inconsistency because of injuries. So behind Gerrit Cole, their 2 through 5 has been decimated with injuries. Montgomery's a couple years out now of Tommy John, so he'll be further along as well. But you've got Luis Severino coming back from Tommy John. He won't be available until the summer. And Jameson Taillon has had 2 Tommy Johns. So we don't really know what to expect from him either. So there's a lot of question marks, which is why I think it's a good... If they can figure out a way to get Taijuan Walker And Jake Odorizzi's the other free agent out there, but I think he's going to require a bigger salary and a longer duration of salary. I think they can get Taijuan Walker on probably a 2-year deal. Maybe keep the first year lower and the second year higher. It could be, if it's possible. But I think he'd be another reliable arm, even if he goes 5 innings every 6th day. Which I think the Yankees would be wise to employ a 6-man rotation this year because of the way things are constructed right now, because of so many question marks coming in. I'd rather be able these guys throw 120, 130 innings, and instead of trying to hit 175, especially if they're coming from 0 and blowing their arms out. I think it makes much more sense to have guys like Chad Green who can throw 2 or 3 innings. But instead of having to use him as an opener and then kind of patched everything together, you have more guys like this where you can put Taijuan Walker at the 5 and then Davey at the 6, and then use Schmidt as long relief, use Herman as long relief because he's also coming from 0 innings. And it's just like the minor leagues. I've said this in other videos too. They generally gradually build the players back up, and there's no more than a 40 or 50 inning increase per year. I think the same should apply this year, particularly coming out of a year where the most innings that somebody threw on the Yankees, I think, was 70, and that's Garrett Cole. So I wouldn't even have him go from 70 to 200. I would have him no more than $150, $160, and then you add the playoffs, and then it takes him to $180 or something like that. That would be my max. The last thing you want to do is lose Garrett Cole to an arm injury, and the last thing you want to do is have these guys do too much too soon and have them go down to injury, particularly when we don't have the depth behind them, which is why Taijuan Walker seems to be the most gettable at this point, and potentially within the $210 million payroll threshold, being able to stay within those constraints. I think he's the most gettable. Unless they trade for somebody and do some other corresponding moves, at this point he seems to be the one. And he's already, through social media said he's looking forward, he's ready, he's fit, and sounds like he wants to come to the Yankees too. So I would not hesitate to bring him in if they had the opportunity to do it and stay under the threshold. And at this point, too, with the moves that they've made in the outfield, I know there's talk about bringing Gardner back, but acquiring Greg Allen, they just signed Jay Bruce as another left-handed bat, and he could be a good relief for and give guys a break or come in and take care of fill in some spots if somebody gets injured. But the more guys you have like that, and we have Estevan Florio, and you can give the outfielders a regular break, it now eliminates the need for Brett Gardner. And even though he's been a longtime Yankee, he's the OG Yankee since 2008. But at this point, they don't really need him. That money would be better spent on pitching at this point. And I think they still need to bring in another starter regardless. And Taijuan Walker seems to me the guy now. And again, unless they make a trade for a controllable starter, which I don't see happening right now, I think Justin Wilson should be the second to last move this offseason, and Taijuan Walker should be the last move they make this offseason. Then I think they'd be much better positioned to go up north to New York, or go down south to Tampa and then go up to New York. And I think they'd be better off going up there. So let me know what you think. Give me your insights. I want to know what you think about what the pitching looks like. My next video, I'm going to go over the offense. So hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It's really helpful to the channel's growth. It lets other people know that it exists. And have a great week. I'll talk to you next time.